Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Friday. Happy Friday. We've made it to another end of the week. And we're here to tell you all the news stories you need to know about before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about it over the weekend. You can just not pay attention to the news, have some, do a hobby, go outside, touch grass, and forget about whatever's going on, whatever the gaslight news is saying on Twitter. This is the first and only international game show Before Coffee, a father and daughter news podcast where we look up our stories right before we've started. We've just got caffeine in our bodies and we're learning how to read and speak live on stream. Let's get into today's headlines and roll that segue wheel. Today on Friday's News Dump. Defense policy in German. Government confirms talks on European nuclear umbrella. And the Olympic organizers looked at ancient Greek practice to pause the world's wars. Good luck.
Good morning from News Dump Friday. We're just going to call it Fascism on the March Friday, because fascism is on the march as reporter Don Lemon is arrested for reporting, and a 5-alarm fire for democracy as the FBI raids voting elections office in Georgia connected to the 2020 election.
Dutch Prime Minister-elect Jetten says not yet time to talk to Putin, and they're still running with Ukraine. Also, could artificial intelligence and a universal basic income eliminate meaningless jobs?
And Latinas are not getting even auditions for parts that call for a Latino. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about infrastructure. You don't think about infrastructure, but where would you be without it? I sound like a news guy.
In my culture news, Jeff Buckley gets first chart hit after 32 years and 29 years after his death, thanks to TikTok.
Wow. And it's National Fun at Work Day. If you're having fun at work, it must be Friday, and you must be just looking forward to the weekend. It's January 30th, 2026 on Before Coffee.
Yeah, we're always having fun at work, I think. I don't know.
I must be thinking of a different award show. I'm not thinking of the Grammys.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Fun
here we go.
Work.
Here were the nominees. Dire Straits wasn't even nominated. This was a 79 Grammys. It was held in 1979, so it was for the year 1978. The winner was A Taste of Honey. The nominees were The Cars, you've heard of them, Elvis Costello, who really had staying power, and Toto, who had, 10 or 12 monster hits. Taste of Honey had like one more hit and then just vanished. Yeah, there was just a disco band. Oogie, oogie, oogie. That was 1979. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm sorry, Dire Straits wasn't even nominated. So unless they're just not on the list, that they. Wait, it might be Dire Straits. It says Toto and I think it was Dire Straits. Had to be. They had to put one British band in there. Come on. Okay, let's spin the wheel and do our stories, I guess.
All right.
Don't get mad if I get up and get some coffee while you're
I'm not going to get mad about that. I've told you many times you can do that.
You won't even see it. You won't even see it because my camera will be off. Good.
Yeah, you just have to remember to turn your camera back on and turn your mic on. That's all I care about. All right. Our first segue is a bad pun.
Bad
pun.
I
have 2 stories here.
Okay. Read slowly.
No, we haven't read anything about Epstein files breaking news, Tommy. You should have mentioned that earlier. We could have looked up a story, but now we're starting the show. So.
Do we have breaking news?
I suppose that there's breaking news. I guess you can look that up on your own time. we're going to talk about instead.
There is. I'll break it.
Yeah, go ahead. Look it up.
12 minutes ago. No, I'll do it.
This story is going to be about German government confirming a nuclear umbrella in Europe. You've already triggered my dad. I mentioned it out loud, Tommy. Let's start with my story. You don't have to apologize.
I'm not triggered, by the way.
You don't have to apologize for triggering my dad. This first story is coming out of the Defense Policy in Europe by Yannick Wilk and Agent France Presse. The Merz cabinet has confirmed that it is in talks with allies about a European nuclear umbrella. For now, the focus is on taking stock of the situation. The German government is holding talks with partners about a European nuclear umbrella. Government spokesman Stefan Cornelius confirmed this. The talks are conducting in a very early stage, Cornelius said in Berlin. The primary focus is on taking stock of current situation. Cornelius did not provide further details, stating that the talks are highly confidential. Yeah, we're not going to tell you how many nukes we're making. The Merz cabinet is apparently speaking primarily with France and Great Britain. Cornelius emphasized that a European nuclear umbrella was the subject of a Franco-German declaration of intent in 2025. Discussions are taking place on this basis, he said. Since the talks concern cooperating with NATO, Great Britain is also involved. Great Britain and France are nuclear powers. Yes, France has the most nukes in Europe, actually. German government's goal is to further strengthen Europe's deterrence and defense capabilities. The German government views the deterrence as part of NATO commitments, which from the perspective of the Federal Republic of Germany also includes the deterrence in the nuclear sphere. As in cough cough, if somebody who's currently in NATO decides to threaten the rest of Europe with nuclear bombs, they can deter that as well. A European nuclear umbrella has become a hot topic since U.S. convicted felon Trump increasingly questioned NATO. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, which is the previous Dutch Prime Minister, has said that Europe remains dependent on U.S. protection. He's not going to lie. That is indeed the truth. They have the largest military in the world, and it's going to take a while to compete against that. But hopefully, 32 plus governments can work together to create some sort of united front against a possible, Russian-U.S. combo move, because that's what it feels like it's going to, right? I would not be surprised if I woke up and it was like Russia and the U.S. decide to bomb Brussels. I'm like, huh? Well, can't say I'm surprised, just disappointed. Oh, he's already gone. My story is too long. He's still getting his coffee. I wonder if there's anything else I can read about this story. There's a lot of links I can press. Oh, deterrence. Where's this? Does Germany need the atomic bomb? Oh, this is a opinion piece from October of last year by Jochen Wegner. Oh, it's an interview. If Russia is waging war in Europe, the U.S. is no longer a reliable partner. Should Germany acquire... They're already thinking this in October that they were unreliable. Ooh, that's bad. Russia is provoking NATO with jets and drones, threatening nuclear weapons. Historian Armin Wagner described the situation today more tense than during the Cold War. Definitely. Russia is challenging NATO. Should the alliance rely on deterrence, or would that be dangerous? But all of these are like interviews where I actually have to listen to them. So I can't really do anything about that. We'll just go on to my next story since he's still gone.
So my next
story. Oh, you're back?
I got a pun.
All right. Your camera was still off when I switched to you.
So, well, I don't know. It must be on a delay. I'm going to make a fishing pun. It looks like they're fishing for a solution. Yeah. Get it? Nuclear fission? Never mind.
They sure are.
Nuclear fission. That's right. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Ha 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 ha. That's the reaction. Yeah. The bomb. Or any kind of chain reaction.
I mean, I'm not a fan of nuclear bombs, but I also understand that, mutual assured destruction is very important. If somebody's gonna have one, everyone has to have one, I guess, I'd rather nobody have one, right? I'm sitting on the seat of nobody should have a nuclear bomb, but unfortunately we live in a reality where people do have them, so I have to sit on the seat of if everyone has one. If one person has one, everyone has to have one. Give one to Vietnam, give one to Thailand, give one to Taiwan, give one to China. Everyone, just every country should have one.
Yeah, it's like that town that says everybody in the town has to own a gun.
Yeah.
They made the town safe. You know why? You're not breaking into your neighbor's house. He's going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
Right?
Unfortunately, that's how it works. If everyone has a weapon, at least you'll know that they have a weapon. Yeah.
I do absolutely agree with that. Of course, it does lead to a lot of accidents, and usually it's children because people don't know. I got a gun. Where should I keep it? How about on the table? How about under my pillow? That's another one. My pillow.
There you go. Under the mattress.
Oh, I know.
My kid will never find it there.
Oh, right. I'll have it next to the bed at a table that isn't even locked. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Let's go to my next story. Which, speaking of wars. The Olympic organizers are trying to stop, or I should say pause, all of the world's wars using an ancient Greek practice. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was always what was supposed to happen, but I guess we gave up on that. This is from Derek Gatopoulos and Theodore Tongas on AP News coming out of Athens. If the rules of ancient Greece were observed today, drones and missile fire over Ukraine would stop on today, the 30th of January, as guns fall silent in the Olympic tradition. The Milan Cortina Winter Olympics begins in 1 week, and the United Nations and organizers are calling for a 7-week pause of all wars worldwide, as they do every time the Olympics take place. It serves to set a moral baseline at a time when some researchers say there are more armed conflicts than ever before, and Earth is at its closest to destruction. Are you being a bit dramatic? Maybe. Maybe not. In ancient Greece, a truce was respected by warring city-states, allowing athletes and spectators to travel safely to ancient Olympia for competitions and ceremonies of the supreme athletic and spiritual significance. The Olympics were revived in their modern form in 1896. The truce's resurgence followed nearly a century later in 1994. That's when I was born. As war raged through the former Yugoslavia. It's always funny when people are like, "Oh, don't you remember Yugoslavia?" It's like, I was born in 94. I wasn't alive when Yugoslavia broke up. That's when I was alive. Okay, I don't remember Yugoslavia, guys. The proposed timeout starts 1 week before the Winter Games open on February 6th and runs until 1 week after the March 15 Paralympics close. It is backed by the UN General Assembly resolution. But fighting that continued in Ukraine and elsewhere on today, the 30th of January, confirmed the truce's dismissal record at 0-17. Sadly. The first modern Olympic truce during the 94 Winter Games in Lillehammer, Norway, did produce a one-day pause in the siege of Sarajevo, allowing aid convoys to deliver food and medicine to the Bosnian capital's desperate residents. In Sydney, 6 years later, North and South Korea marched together at the opening ceremony. Governments around the world overwhelmingly agree that sport can unite and heal, or as Roger has said before, sports is supposed to be replacing war. Right? Instead of actually killing each other in a field somewhere or bombing each other's buildings, let's see if you're really that good at the ring toss. I don't know. At the skiing jump. Are you as good at the ski jump as my country? We'll see who's really the top dog. Anyways, instead of doing that, they are still shooting missiles at each other. Whenever possible, we should strive towards creating even a small space for peace. Konstantinos Filis, director of the International Olympic Truth Center, told the Associated Press. Ceasefire initiatives still count in an era of global disorder and political polarization, as unilateral aggression increasingly threatens international cooperation, argues Filis, who is also director of the Institute of Global Affairs in Athens. This may not always be achievable in practice, he said, but the message reaches every corner of the globe. Outside the Swedish capital of Stockholm, a group of academics has tracked global war trends for more than 80 years. It reported that in 24, they had the highest number of active armed conflicts in a single year, at 61. We've seen quite a strong increase in the number of conflicts over the past 5 or 6 years, said Sean Davies, a senior analyst at Uppsala University's Department of Peace and Conflict Research. And its upcoming annual report will show 25 had even more conflicts than the prior year, he added. As the U.S. steps back from multilateralism, Davies said, countries are becoming more likely to test their neighbors, creating a more volatile, fragmented insecurity landscape. More major conflicts remain largely unnoticed in the West, he said, pointing to Western Africa, where Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group affiliates continue to spread across borders. And the doomsday clock, a symbolic gauge of Earth's existential peril, edged closer to the midnight this week, according to an announcement from members of the Bulletin on Atomic Scientists. And of course, nobody's been talking about Sudan, right? Sudan's still happening. UN truce resolutions typically pass with broad majorities, yet signatories repeatedly break their own pledge. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 22 infamously began during a truce period. I think the Olympics are an excellent moment to symbolize peace, to symbolize respect for international law, and to symbolize international cooperation, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told reporters yesterday on the 29th of January. Kirsty Coventry, the multi-Olympic swimming champion who last year became the first woman to lead the International Olympic Committee, addressed the General Assembly at latest vote in November. Watching peaceful competition, she said, inspired her to begin her gold medal journey as a young girl in Zimbabwe. Even in these dark times of division, it is possible to celebrate our shared humanity and inspire hope for a better future, Coventry said. Sport, and the Olympic Games in particular, can offer a rare space where people meet not as adversaries, but as fellow human beings, she said. This is why the Olympic truce is so important. And there's your inspiring words for striving and fighting for peace, even if, people want to start wars in the middle of it. Russia. And give me a bad pun about that. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Had to cough, so I muted. All right, so, yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, Olympics is a great place to take a political stand. So let's say, Let's hope people have the mettle to take a political stand. There's your two puns. Mettle meaning internal fortitude, and of course the medals are presented on a stand. I hate to explain my puns. That's what are bad puns.
That's all we're asking for here.
Right.
All right, good job.
Ozempic. I was like, what is Ozempic used for?
It originally was a medicine for diabetes.
It's also weight loss now.
Yeah, it got turned into a weight loss drug, but it was originally made for that.
I was trying to work an Olympic pun, but I wonder if there's going to be Ozempic commercials. You don't see those in other countries because they're banned. But the United States, you can advertise prescription drugs to people on TV, whether they need them or not, and they go, Ozempic, I have that exact thing.
Ask your doctor.
Let me go get my doctor to prescribe it. Doctor goes, well, you're not diabetic, but here you go. And he prescribes it because he's getting kickback from the pharmaceutical company.
For sure.
But that's medicine in the United States.
Legal drug peddling.
Let's spin the wheel, and I will update the Epstein files quickly.
Yeah, since Tommy was telling us about this breaking news, we got to break the news too, huh?
Yeah, 12 minutes before our show started, there was
Okay, metaphor and simile. Take it away with our breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. I don't know.
We go to our roving reporter who's never roving. Yes. This is from CNN.com. Did a reporter put their name on it? Maureen Chowdhury did put her name. Chowdhury. The Justice Department released more files related to Jeffrey Epstein today. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who's Trump's personal attorney, which Trump's not going to be in any of these documents. They've gone through the documents that Trump's not appearing in and they're releasing those. They're trying to get other people in trouble unless they're on their side. So we're going to get some heavily redacted. So he said the documents we released today number more than 3 million pages, including 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. I can't wait, really. I'm sure it's going to be very, very revealing for other people besides Trump, right? The department estimated earlier this month that it released. Why is it taking so long to release documents that you don't even have to redact? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, you're being ordered not to redact them. So why are you doing this? The Justice Department has completed its review of the records related to Jeffrey Epstein, which is complete horse shit. Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos, 180,000 images. This is what's called a Friday dump. This is a definitely legitimate Friday dump. So reporters are going to spend all weekend long digging through these just to find that all the important information has been redacted, along with, we had to protect victims' identities. And a lot of the victims are saying, don't protect my identity, right? And by the way, why aren't you asking victims to testify before Congress? You asked Bill Clinton, for God's sake. Why don't you ask the actual victims? Congress, the Justice Department are covering this up. So here we are, document dump. I don't expect anything relevant to come of it, except they're going to try to get some other people in trouble besides Trump. So, did you want to?
And which is totally fine, by the way. Here on Before Coffee, we totally accept release anybody, right? Anybody who's done it, we don't care. Just release them, right? That's what people have been saying for weeks. Like, but what if your favorite comedian is in the files? Great. Now I know he's a pedophile. Like, why is that a bad thing to know? That's a great thing to know.
Yeah. Did you know that guy who's a professor at Yale, blah, 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 had to resign? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. What does that have to do with anything? It's not even a person right? It was like, it's an irrelevant person in society today. Good for you. You caught him. But let's get to the real motherfuckers. Let's not get to these people that are ancillary on the fringes. Let's get to the rich assholes, the guys that were doing this, right? We're not worried about Trump so much.
People are money rolling the thing, yeah.
All of them. We want to know all of these names, damn it. We got a few. Why aren't these cocksuckers who have been named, who have been investigated? Ghislaine Maxwell is naming names, for God's sake. Why aren't you investigating all of those names? Huh? No, this is another distraction.
Yeah.
The Epstein file distraction on top of the Epstein file distraction. I guarantee it's going to be heavily edited.
I have a metaphor for this already, which is these redacted files are like a puzzle with missing pieces.
There you go. Let's have some claps for that. The unplanned story of the Epstein file release. Let's go here. All right, on to the stories I had planned. And let's talk about Don Lemon. If you know what Don Lemon, he used to work for CNN until he just one day just said, fuck this place, and said something stupid and got fired. That's genuinely what he did. He wanted to get fired. He was the only black guy with a talk show with his own regular show on CNN. And I think I haven't watched CNN in years, but Don Lemon's kind of funny. Anyway, journalist Don Lemon is arrested for, connection with a church protest against ICE. Lemon's attorney says this is from KARE11.com. It's a TV station I meant somewhere. Samantha Fisher, probably a Los Angeles station. Lemon's attorney said he was taken into custody by federal officers Thursday night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. They waited for him to show up at the Grammy Awards. What a bunch of cowards. Journalist Don Lemon of Georgia Fort. Well, there's more than one person arrested, wasn't there? Why don't you mention everybody that was arrested, reporter? Were arrested Thursday night in Friday morning, respectively, in connection with a protest at a church led by local activists against immigration enforcement. Social media posts from U.S. Attorney General Sam Blondie said 2 others were arrested, including Teharan Cruz and Jamel Lunde. And we'll read her idiotic I'm not going to read her Twitter post, sorry. I hate bitch. Nakima Levi Armstrong, a Minneapolis civil rights attorney and racial justice advocate, was also arrested for her participation in a church protest. Okay. What is illegal about protesting again? Clue me in. A statement released by Lemon's attorney, Abe Lowell, said Lemon was taken into custody by federal officers Thursday night in Los Angeles for recovering the Grammy Awards. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work at Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There's no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Pam Blondie belongs in prison. She belongs under a prison, actually. She's a fascist, and we know what they did in Nuremberg to fascists. She's responsible for killing people, she's responsible for renditioning people, and she's arresting reporters. Mm-hmm. And she's actually arrested people in Congress. She's actually arrested U.S. senators. So let's have this nonsense go away and have her arrested. As a member of the press, I filmed at a church protest a few weeks ago, and now I'm being arrested for that. Fort said in her video message, it's hard to understand how we have a constitutional rights, and we can just be arrested for being a member of the press. It remains unclear what charges the pair face. There is no charge you can come up with. Levy Armstrong was arrested last week in connection with a church protest and a Thursday evening press conference. She believes her arrest was a result of political retaliation. This is not only an immigration fight, this is a fight for police accountability. This is a fight for racial justice. This is a fight for our constitutional rights, and we must not forget that. Lemon's attorney called an arrest an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration. Epstein files. Yep. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. There's your story. Let's have it. Let's have the metaphor for, I don't know, the government arresting people, violating the Constitution by arresting reporters for reporting. Of course, the church itself was a fascist church, which was supporting ICE. And the people were protesting it for a reason. And probably should burn that church to the ground. I have no problem with that. I'm no big fan of churches. Unless there's some kind of historical relevance, whatever, that big tall buildings that oppress people, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. To me, it's like everybody gets together and feel good about themselves once a week, and that's great. Other than that, don't be telling me how to vote. Don't tell me what my politics are. And if you're going to do that, start paying taxes. That's my little diatribe on churches.
Start paying some taxes.
We let these bastards get away with everything. By the way, mega churches are in big trouble in this country. I just wanted to point that out. Maybe we'll do a story on it next week.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, my segue is... my metaphor is... The journalist passed protest echoing like a hidden lyric in a song everyone thought they knew by heart. He was at the Grammys.
Oh, why am I laughing?
He got arrested.
It's more like, oh my God. And yep,
Evil
that's what
Laugh,
that is.
I think, is a good one too here.
Just fascism on the march.
Yep. And to do it at the Grammy, just to like really present how they're untouchable, right? Yeah, we're gonna do this in public. They could have gone to his house, but they specifically chose to do it in public.
They waited until he got out of his car, probably. Yeah. They probably waited until he got out of his car. Don Lemon, get him! And of course, he just bails himself out. It isn't like. And first, what are you charging him with exactly? And here's his lawyer. This is the Constitution right here. See this there? Freedom of the press. He was the press. He's been the press for as long as you know why you know Don Lemon's name? He's the press.
This is Jesus what I can't think of the word right now, but this is on purpose to scare people. That's what this is. First, you scare people into doing their jobs. Right.
CBS
so they stop
News
doing
is
their jobs.
Unwatchable. CBS News now, unwatchable fascist propaganda. In a few years, they've gone from actually most trustable fascist propaganda because Trump scared them into it. And this is it. Clamp down in the media. They're not going to report it. It's like getting arrested. It's like, oh, I better not write that. I don't want them kicking in my door. Yeah. Don Lemon, stand up strong, Don. Don't take no shit. Don't nobody take no shit from no fucking government. So anyway, let's do another thing for the fascism on the march. These are the thing, before there was televisions, you go to the movies, and before the coming attractions, you would see a newsreel because you didn't have television. And it would say, and during world wars, like World War I didn't really have movie houses. Let's do World War II. World War II at the movie house, you saw Freedom on the March, and they updated you on all the World War II movies. People went to the movies went to the movies almost every single day, some people, because it didn't cost that much.
You got your news.
Plus, you got your news, and you didn't get frontline report, except for the radio, of course, in newspapers. But you got that, the video is very important. Anyway, instead of freedom on the march, we have fascism on the march. This is a slight change. This is democracydocket.com. It's a 5-alarm fire for democracy. Dems and voting advocates voice outrage at FBI raid of Georgia elections office. Outrage and grave concern about no person's name on there. Outrage and grave concern about the midterm elections followed in the wake of the FBI's court-authorized raid of the Fulton County, Georgia elections. Of course, you can get some kind of fascist judge these days to approve anything, I guarantee it. There's plenty of fascist federal judges out there. Trump appointed them. This is a blatant attempt to distract the Trump-authorized state violence that killed multiple Americans in Minnesota, Fulton County Commissioner Dana Barrett said in an understatement. It's also to shield us against the Epstein files. Don't forget that part. Who is running for Georgia Secretary of State? Dana Barrett, sending 25 FBI agents to raid our Fulton County election office is a political theater, part of a concerted effort to take over elections in swing districts across the country. Let's be clear. Trump wants full control of the outcome of the 2026 and 2028 elections, but he knows he's going to get slaughtered. At this point, the Republicans are going to lose about 100 seats in the House, and they're definitely losing the Senate. He is teeing up the MAGA-controlled state elections board to take over Fulton County elections, and he's wasting taxpayers' dollars to prop up his dangerous lies and conspiracies. Today's actions were another disastrous step to undo the will of Georgia voters and interfere with our elections. U.S. Senator John Ossoff, Democratic Georgia, who is running for election this year, this is what this is about, to get him out of the Senate. Let's not make no bones about it. This is all this is about, is trying to rig the Georgia election in the Senate to get a Republican in there. After losing in Georgia in 2021, Ossoff continues, Donald Trump demanded state officials find votes to change the outcome, tried to use DOJ to overturn it, and spread conspiracy theories that led to January 6th sacking of the U.S. Capitol. Ossoff said, I suspect today's raid is a continuation of the sore losers crusade, despite repeated audits, independent reviews confirming that Stinky the Clown was indeed defeated. From Minnesota to Georgia, on display to the whole world is a piece of shit president. Yeah, piece of shit's my word. I won't use the word president. Spiraling out of control, wielding federal law enforcement as an unaccountable instrument.
Spiraling demagogue.
Yeah. DNC Chair Ken Martin condemned the raid as framed as part of Trump's ongoing fixation with a loss that occurred 6 years ago. Diaper Donnie is a weak loser who still cannot come to terms with the fact that he lost in 2020. Instead of focusing, he actually lost in 2024. But we know they had a lot of votes discounted and thrown out because they're fascist cheaters, and they owned a lot of these election officials in Pennsylvania and Georgia. Don't forget the bomb threats in Georgia, too. That suppressed the vote. Instead of focusing on making life more affordable for Georgians or stopping federal agents from terrorizing and killing American citizens in our streets, Stinky is fixated on election that he lost, Martin said. Democrats will not back down, and DNC will continue fighting back against Stinky's attempts to disenfranchise voters, weaponize his Justice Department, and imitate election officials. Speaking outside the Fulton County election office, Kristen Neighbors, Georgia State Director for All Voting is Local, said the real reason the seizure was fueling Stinky's false narratives and undermining election integrity, not uncovering evidence of actual crime. I think the FBI is doing his bidding, trying to create a criminal case against Georgia, and by carrying out this farce of an investigation, it is trying to placate his delusions. It's all a power grab. They can't come to grips with the fact that they lost. They really have this unending obsession with who's this they? It's one bastard. It's one stupid orange bastard. There's no they. It's one guy. And he had Tulsi Gabbard do it. It has no business doing internal anything in the United States. She's the National Security Director. Stupid. And she's a Russian asset. Don't forget that. She's always been a Russian asset. In 2022, former Attorney General Bill Barr said in an interview that there was no evidence of widespread fraud. That was a Trump appointee, by the way. His last Attorney General, I believe. Barr authorizes U.S. Attorney offices across the nation to investigate allegations of election tampering immediately after results came in. We haven't seen anything to substantiate election fraud, the Trump appointee has said. So here we are. Again, more distractions, more fascism. Let's have us another metaphor for fascism. We're going to run out of metaphors before we run out of fascism.
I'm excited to find out. Like a shipwrecked sailor, Trump is still casting his net into the murky waters of yesterday's election.
Yeah, like a sailor who's afraid of the water because he's a big scaredy cat. Donald Trump, if you would have pushed him, he would just fall over. I guarantee it. He would just fall the fuck over. That's how tough he is. You just push him, you just, somebody hurt me! The big baby. Fox tough. Ain't worth a shit. Stiff breeze will blow his ass over. Doddering old
100%.
fool. He's about 40 pounds overweight. That's not a good combination, boys and girls. When you're old, being overweight is a problem.
Yeah.
Your bones are too old to support.
Okay, let's roll our segue wheel for my story.
Yes. I will try my level best. What do we get?
It's limerick time, so you better be trying really hard because it's going to be...
How many stories you got? One or two?
I have 2 stories.
Okay, so...
First story is going to be about the Dutch Prime Minister-elect, who's just been elected in the Netherlands, who's promising to continue fighting for Ukraine, and it's not yet time to talk to Putin. This is on RFI, which is a French paper coming out of The Hague. Incoming Dutch Prime Minister Rob Jetten, as I would say in Dutch, said today on the 30th of January that they ruled out talks with Russia over the war in Ukraine as he unveiled a new government program including firm support for Ukraine. Speaking to Agent Press after publishing his governing manifesto, the 38-year-old, which is quite young for a prime minister, probably the youngest prime minister in a long time, said he would not speak to Moscow as there were currently no indications Russia wanted to end the war in Ukraine. As long as the aggression continues, we will continue our support for the Ukrainian people, he said. The 79-page manifesto, hammered out after a few weeks of tough talks between Jetten and his 2 coalition partners, pledged no let-up in Dutch support for Kyiv. The fight in Ukraine is about the security of the whole of Europe, said the document entitled Getting to Work. So we are continuing our own multi-year financial and military support, and we will continue to argue for the use of frozen Russian assets, the manifesto said. The new administration also pledged to anchor in law the NATO defense spending minimum of 3.5% of economic output pushed by convicted felon Trump. As about relationship with the United States following an unseemly spat between Washington and Europe over Greenland, Jetten called for more European independence. Thank you. I'm a little bit worried that you people in Europe are mainly complaining about what's happening in the US, Jetten said. We should be having a much stronger debate about what can Europe do for itself, he added. To be fair, there's not a lot happening here. So it's just like watching a reality TV show. You can't look away. Way more interesting what's happening in the US than what's happening here. it is important to talk about what's happening in your own country. That's true. Yetin from the centrist D66 party will now form a cabinet aiming to be sworn in by mid-February. He is on course to become the youngest leader of the European Union's 5th largest economy and the first to be openly gay. Yetin led his party to a stunning election victory in October, narrowly defeating the far-right Freedom Party, headed by firebrand anti-Islam politician Geert Wilders, also known as the Dutch Trump, who cannot run a party or government. Because what happened again? For the third time, I think, in his career, he became prime minister, and then nobody wanted to agree or with anything he wanted to pass, so he rage quit and whined and went, "I'm leaving! You guys won't run a government with me!" So, and all he did is yell about Islam and Muslims and immigrants for a year, and didn't get anything done for the actual people who live in his country. You know, the Dutch people who probably need, I don't know, new reforms on whatever. Let's just talk about immigrants. Won't you get rid of all the immigrants? We'll fix the country. Housing crisis, it's the immigrants' fault. Your pension isn't enough money. That's the immigrant. You know, that's all he would do. It's the immigrants, and not actually solve anything. The fragmented nature of Dutch political system means lengthy coalition haggling follows an election. There are like 70,000 parties here in the Netherlands. Yetin finally clinched a deal with the two center-right parties, but will not enjoy a majority in parliament, meaning the government will need to support one of the other parties to pass legislation. Couldn't get a leftist to agree with you, huh? Reminder that in Europe, a leftist party is way more left and progressive than a leftist American party, so it is hard to make a deal with a leftist when you're a centrist in Europe, for sure. And that's all I have to say about that. Exciting Dutch drama.
Right on. Almost done. There's your limerick. The government leaders in The Hague told Zelensky doesn't have to beg. You have our full support, the new PM did retort. And the Russians' dissent spreads like the plague. As the Russians are unhappy that they're still at war for shit they don't even care about.
Yep. But at least you're making a lot of money if you sign up and get conscripted. That's
at
what
least
they're doing now. They've increased the pay in
Russia.
Russia for our soldiers. And because the economy is crashing because of all the sanctions, right? They're like,
you can have your money. I don't know what you're going to spend it in a tomb.
So I can get money to eat food.
You got Bob Dylan on your bingo card, Bob Dylan line. You can have your money, but I don't know how you're going to spend it in a tomb.
Yep. Ain't that the truth? All right. Next story and your next limerick will be about. This is a longer story. Should have more time. Should we finally get universal basic income as artificial intelligence eliminates meaningless jobs, in quotations right there? I don't know who's defining what's meaningless. Probably CEOs who themselves have a meaningless job. This is by business reporter Daniel Zeifer on ABC Australia. Australia essentially did it during COVID. The world's richest man thinks it's inevitable, and a growing body of research suggests it could be the answer to AI shattering long-held high rates of employment. I know there was, I think during the 2020 election, or was it the 2016 election? I think it was 2016. Somebody who was going up for the Democrats, I forget his name right now, who was running on universal basic income. He's running on the idea, like, let's pass universal basic income. So this has been an idea at least since 2016, even probably longer than that. A universal basic income, or UBI, is a regular, obligation-free payment to everyone. There are different models, but those key elements endure in research studies and pilot projects around the world. Creating a base that everyone can access without any barriers is really important for a world where things are changing really rapidly, says Ben Spies Butcher, and where the kinds of risks people are exposed to are changing as well. The Associate Professor of Economy and Society at Macquarie University says that JobKeeper and coronavirus supplement received by millions during the pandemic shows that we can create a payment that everyone is entitled to, which would let them live at least a decent basic life. I mean, that's what welfare is, right? It's basically UBI. But everyone gets one. Instead of you having to prove that you've had a job or that you're whatever, right? Just everyone gets it, doesn't matter. You're a citizen, here you go. This would also help if, for those people who are anti-immigrant, right? If everyone has UBI, nobody will immigrate out of their countries because at least they'll have UBI still. That's the argument, at least, for anti-immigrant people. The COVID pandemic showed that society can function even in times of high unemployment if the community supports regular payments so they can live. When COVID forced people to stay home, between 3.6 million and 4 million Australians were supported by the JobKeeper payment. In addition, a further 2.2 million people who received some form or welfare payment, such as job seeker, colloquially called the dole, enjoyed a top-up payment called the coronavirus supplement that massively boosted, in most cases, essentially doubled their income. So the idea is, as long as you're still looking for a job, right, you have to prove that you've applied for 10 jobs this month or whatever, and that nobody's still hiring you. The government gives you money. That's what the dole is in a lot of socialist countries. You're trying to get elected, or you're trying to get a job, it's just not happening for you. Here's some money. At one point, more than 43% of the adult population in Australia was receiving a regular obligation-free payment from the government. With artificial intelligence threatening to shatter entire sectors and occupations, is it time to talk about a universal basic income to secure the future? Research before and after the pandemic has given a better idea of the positive impact of UBI. COVID shows us how precarious the idea of employment is, how shaky those foundations are, UBI proponent Elise Klein says. The Associate Professor of Public Policy at the Crawford School at the Australian National University says COVID provided a natural experiment of the impact of basic income. We found that poverty rates for folks that are receiving job seeker went from 67% down to 6%. Wow! Wow! From 60 to 7. They just removed what's the word? The word for tens. 6 tens. Off of that. Just gone. By giving UBI. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's wild.
Crazy, because people spend that money. They spend it. Yeah.
The research Klein and her colleagues did found that income boosted helped people prepare to enter the labor market because they can buy a new suit, they can they can get a car, they can get a phone, they can still pay their rent so they have an address. These are the things that stop people from getting a job, by the way. I love when people are like, oh, those poor houseless people, the unhoused, they can't get a job, they should try harder. It's like, well, let them know how they can afford to buy some new clothes, get a house, get a car, get a phone, because a lot of those things you need an address or other way around, right? It's a catch-22. So they were able to have their foot off the neck a bit and be able to engage in the labor market, she explains, to get out of debt, to meet basic income needs, of course, makes themselves feel good. Instead of having the huge psychological impact that helped people feel that they had dignity again. Wow, I'm such a loser, I have no money, I'm basically homeless, I should just die. Instead of, I have $1,000 a month. I can use that to get myself back up. I can buy some food. I can feel healthy again. The Stanford University Basic Income Lab has tallied about 160 global UBI experiments in the last 4 decades. That's how long they've been studying this shit and how that works. They range in the objective that they are focused on, the number of people in the study and the value of the money they receive. The biggest one is actually give directly in Kenya. That's going on for 12 years, is working with 20,000 Kenyans over 200 villages, Klein says. Preliminary results from the study are really positive, that it also is showing huge improvement in people's lives. Oh my God, people are feeling better about their lives? We can never have UBI because people might actually feel good about being alive. there's more of the story. It does go on for 9 minutes, but the basic point is the cost of JobKeeper in COVID for Australia was $88.9 billion. They estimate that if they gave everyone a similar payment, they call it New Start, it would be around $240 billion a year at a time when the overall spending of the Australian government was about $450 billion, so about half their cost. This coronavirus summit cost them more than $20 billion over most of 2020 and part of 21. Even though it exists, they have to find something like 170 to 190 billion Australian dollars annually in order to fund this scheme. Simon Cowan, research director at think tank the Center for Independent Study, estimated at the time. So there's a lot of money that needs to go into it. But the idea is we're not in the COVID pandemic, so it should actually be easier to fund it, right, with taxes, because in a general case, right, there's no pandemic, so there's not a natural disaster that's causing people to not have jobs. So there's even more tax money going in to Australia and other countries that could pay for a UBI. On the flip side, Cowan says studies in the US show benefits to cash payments like UBI. For example, there are some young mothers who, rather than going back into the workforce and putting their kids in childcare, they take access to that money and use that to stay home and spend time with their kids, he observes. Or what other socialist countries call maternity leave, which America doesn't really have in the same way that other countries have. Students or potential students, some of those who will decide to stay at school or go to university rather than go out and work, so there's a benefit in terms of some of the reductions of those pressures. It's much easier to study for your degree if you don't have to worry about making it to work tomorrow. Cowan also disputes concerns about technological changes such as AI, leading to a structural shift in the number of people employed. Despite a decade worry about automation, the unemployment rate in 22 was the lowest of almost 5 decades, and the percentage of participation in the workforce is almost the highest level on record. But will it stay there? A lot of tech billionaires see that jobs are going to be huge job losses because AI can replace them, even if it's not a good job. You can have 10 AIs doing the work of one person, probably, and then one person checking it, I guess. But for now, AI will not eliminate most human jobs, according to Elon Musk, but he has to say that so that you can keep pushing stuff, right? There's more news about that, automation. There's a thin safety net, for example, and Australia's unemployment benefits are among the lowest in the oceanic countries, meaning political and personal pressure to maintain employment. We can't automate unless people aren't scared of it. Taking away the fear would allow us to move faster as a country, McGee argues. If the safety net was there, people would say yes. So if we want to actually push automation, Josh McGee, who is a technology advance advocate, we would have to get UBI, right? If people aren't worried, won't be worried about AI if they already have UBI to settle back on. So there's all the different perspectives on this argument that I kind of cut through because there's a lot of talking and a lot of quotes. But give me your limerick, which you should have had plenty of time to write 2 of them. You're muted. I can't hear you and what you're saying.
Right. So the U.S. government pays people to not produce crops.
Yeah.
So I can't pay people to not work.
Exactly.
And that's
and
the
it's not,
subject of
to
my
be fair,
limerick.
it's not paying them not to work. It's just like you don't have to worry about, you just don't have to worry about it. It's not enough. It's enough to live on.
You don't have to go work in your slave, put gas in your car every week, drive to work, whatever you got to do, get on a train, you go all that crap, just to come home and give all your money to frickin' food and rent. And that's all you ever do in your entire life, food and rent. That's not living, folks. You got to do something in between. Anyway, UBI, this is my limerick. UBI should make your life good. I'm not saying great. I'm saying, all right, that's why I said good. And it also rhymes. So there you go. UBI should make your life good. We subsidize farmers to not produce food. What would be funny is if we took all that money and improved our own neighborhood. There you go.
That would be crazy. Just caring about your citizens and making sure they can live.
We pay farmers to not produce food. This is an actual fact, and this is true in a lot of countries. The farmer themselves cannot raise their own crops to put in their own refrigerator. They can be arrested and fined for growing things on their land that is otherwise doing nothing. Understand what I'm saying? I've got a huge soybean farm. The government says you produce too many soybeans. We're going to subsidize you to not produce soybeans. You cannot use that land to grow any other crops. You have to grow nothing on it. It has to be a desert. You can't, I mean, you can grow grass, but it can't be a cash crop. It may be hay, might be the only thing. But you can't feed yourself. You definitely can't feed yourself. That's horrible. It's horrible policy. We do that, but we won't give people a universal basic income. We bitch at people who are on food stamps, which are, believe me, I applied for food stamps. I'm a senior on basic fixed income. I cannot get food stamps. You know why? I don't have kids. If you got kids, you get food stamps. That's what food stamps are for.
That's
for the
it.
kids.
That's all you got.
People bitch about
interesting.
That.
Yeah.
People bitch about that. So I'm just so fed up with these people bitching about, that's welfare. It goes to children, dude. If you're worried about fucking abortions, but you're not worried about feeding children, I don't know where you stand in this world. You just hate children after they're born? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Also, I want to mention, because I saw this last night when I was scrolling through social media, that a lot of people don't know what caused the Irish potato famine.
Yeah, it was the government.
It wasn't.
Would let them plant anything.
It wasn't a disease destroying the crop. What it was
that, but
yeah, but the actual real thing that caused people to immigrate and escape and leave is the British or the English said you are not allowed to eat those potatoes to feed yourself. The same thing you're talking about. You need to sell those potatoes on the market. All of the potatoes. You're not allowed to keep 2 potatoes so you can eat. All those potatoes need to go on the market, and then they starved to death and died, and they were like, I need to fucking leave the country because I can't eat.
But the Irish did learn something. Okay. They learned something that the Asians learned a long time ago. Before that was that you can eat seaweed. They did learn that.
Yeah, it's really good. I love seaweed.
They had to harvest seaweed. That's what they used for all their nutrients because they had no crops could grow. They were growing crops,
but any crops they did grow had to go into the docket, right? They weren't allowed to eat it.
Yeah, and there was a worm that ate the potatoes, so they weren't growing anyway. That's why. So wiped out their only crop and no diversity, and England screwed them. Yeah, that's what England did to Ireland permanently, right? Once they got control. So I guess we're doing another spin.
Yes,
I did 2 limericks. That was a lot of work. I'm exhausted.
So it was. I thought it was a really interesting discussion that I've always been for UBI ever since I heard about it.
Right.
Because it just makes sense.
Yeah. And we're gonna do a. What did we spin?
I'm gonna give you some limericks now.
Limerick time. Right on. I got 2 stories, unfortunately. So, strap yourself in. I'll try to make this one shorter, but now you got a limerick. Maybe not. HollywoodReporter.com has a story from McKinley Franklin. It's about a letter that Eva Longoria, John Leguizamo, and more Latino artists signed an open letter urging accountability equity amid deep cuts casting backlash. They're saying the group, let's read the story. The group of creatives acknowledged controversy that ensued after Odessa Azion, who apparently is, I don't know, French, I don't know what she is, was cast as Sean Durkin's A24 film as character Zoe Gutierrez, who is described in the book as based on a half Mexican, half Jewish. Eva Longoria, John Leguizamo, and Yoquitel Gomez, I don't know how to pronounce that first name, Xochitl? Is that Oxatil? All right, hey. Let's call him Mr. Gomez. Or it might be Mrs. I don't even know if it's a man or a woman. I don't know who the person is. Are among the group of 100 Latino actors, artists, and storytellers Probably a good actor. I just don't know their names. All right. Okay. And artists and storytellers have signed an open letter urging Hollywood to increase Latino voices across all avenues of the entertainment industry. And in the letter, group of creatives acknowledged the backlash that ensued after Odessa Diazon was cast as Sean Durkin's A24 film Deep Cuts. What does A24 film mean? Any clue what that even means? As character Zoe Gutierrez, who was described in a book, and the film is based on half Mexican, half Jewish. Amid the controversy, the Marty Supreme star announced Wednesday she had dropped out of the project. Recent casting decisions around the character Zoe Gutierrez in A24's Deep Cuts, I guess that's just the name of the movie, have exposed a troubling pattern. We acknowledge the command Odessa Azion, however you pronounce her name, for listening, reflecting, and deciding to exit the project to become an ally. Yet how did this happen? The letter reads in part. So let's read the letter. The people that signed it: Jessica Alba, Gina Rodriguez, Danny Ramirez, Becky G, Michael Pena, Gloria Calderon Calette, among others. This will sign the letter. Let's read the letter. Dear casting directors, creative executives, rush producers, and Hollywood leaders, write you with urgency because the storytelling is humanity's compass and Hollywood wields all the power. Well, this is not give them all the power. The stories you choose to tell and how to tell them shape public perception, culture, understanding, who gets to see themselves reflected on screen. In these challenging moments, that power comes with real responsibility. The recent casting decisions around the character Zoe Gutierrez in the A24 Deep Cuts have exposed a troubling pattern. We acknowledge and commend Odessa Azion, I guess that's her name, I have no idea how to pronounce that, for listening, A''Zion. Azion? Reflecting and deciding to exit.
I don't speak a traditional...
I was hoping
traditional Mexican.
Google.
So
Google will help you pronounce it if you just type it in there. Anyway, reflecting and deciding to exit the project to become an ally. Yet how did this happen? The absence of Latina audition opportunities and the choice to replace a clearly Latina character with a non-Latina actress signals a broader ongoing erasure of our community from the stories that define our cultures. This is not about any one actor or project. It's about the system that repeatedly overlooks qualified Latino talent, even as our identities, histories, and experience fuel the most enduring stories. Latino communities are already underrepresented and misrepresented in ways that distort reality and harm real people. Casting decisions carry real weight. They influence who is seen as worthy of authentic storytelling and who gets to tell these stories with care, nuance, and authority. We're calling for accountability, intentionality, and equity in casting. Storytelling, authentic representation is more than a casting performer who looks like a character. It means involving communities being portrayed, not just in front of the camera, but the decisions that shape these stories from the inception. Our stories deserve to be shaped with the input, guidance, and leadership of Latino characters, consultants, writers, and performers. The employer joins the concrete action. I kind of agree with this. I do agree with it up to a point. Open the auditions, right? But again, you should give it to the best actor, not based on race. And I know why this exists. It's because the old Westerns that I grew up with, every Indian was a caricature, and he spoke some bullshit language that nobody ever fucking
or something.
Right,
None
and
of them were natives. Yeah.
Some of them were, but a lot of them weren't, right? And you would never know the difference because Hollywood magic, right? Hollywood magic made them look Indian because they had and of course, they all had full battle regalia 24 hours a day, which is complete horseshit, right? Yeah. I'm going to wear my headdress every single day. No. You don't go to bed wearing a headdress full of feathers. So the whole Hollywood, the whole history of Hollywood is minimizing people who aren't, ooh, I'm a strong European's going to save the day, So Indians can't take care of themselves. We need John Wayne to do it. That kind of shit. So, yeah, I get where it's coming from, but in my personal opinion, as long as you have an open casting, at least 10 people for this part, just give it to the best person. Who cares what their race is? I'm just saying. You can be Latina and be black, in other words. Correct? Your skin can be literally black and you could be a Latino. So could a black person get this role? I'm just saying.
That's because ethnicity and race are not the same thing, right? This is a problem a lot of people have, right? People will be like, this is the problem I have, okay?
Yeah, Latino.
People will say white people in Europe, if you ask me. Right? Where the thing is, yes, there's whiteness in Europe, but the concept of whiteness is a very, very American value. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
For the most part, and I know there's racists everywhere, but for the most part, if you say you're Scottish, you can be black still. You can be white, you can be Asian, you can be Native American Scottish person. That's allowed because what were you? You were born in Scotland. That's the only signifier. And that's what a lot of Europeans, not all of them, but a lot of Europeans stand by that idea. If you're born in the country, you're a citizen of the country, you are the thing. The end. We don't look at, but unfortunately, Americans, whenever they say Europeans, they're always thinking white people. And there's plenty of Europeans who are not white, plenty of brown, black, and Asian Europeans who've never, Robert, right? He's Indo-Dutch. He's never been to Indonesia. He doesn't even speak Malay or Indonesian, right? But he does look Asian. So, right? In America, he'd be an Asian guy. Here in Europe, he's Dutch because he's from the Netherlands. The end of the story, right? Overcomplicating it. Hello, Johnny.
Right.
Welcome to our talk about ethnicity and race. But there can be black Latinos. Because there are black Latinos. Look at the Dominican Republic.
I do want to report out when it said Mexican Jew. I remembered that there's a TV show you'll remember, but this was on when I was a kid. Welcome Back, Kotter, and one of the students in that class was a guy. The character was Juan Epstein. Juan Epstein, right? A Puerto Rican Jew, Juan Epstein, right?
Yeah.
The actor who played him, Robert Hedges, was neither Latino nor Hispanic. I don't even think he was Jewish. But anyway,
yet again, the other problem with...
He probably was Jewish. I want to say he might have been Jewish.
The problem with Judaism or being Jewish is that it's also a religion, right? So yes, there are people who are considered ethnically Jewish, like Ashkenazi Jews, right? Those people have markers,
There's
right?
a genetic marker for that.
They have markers that you can say that person's a Jew. You know, we know all of the racist caricatures, okay? But
Robert Hedges wasn't even Jewish. He wasn't even Jewish. He was born in New Jersey to Hungarian American father and Italian American.
Well, he could have been practicing Judaism. I don't know.
Named Wada, but he did have an afro.
There's also plenty of people who are ethnically Jewish that don't practice Judaism, right? They don't practice any of the actual religion. So we're getting overly complicated. There's nuance to all of this. But
do you have a limerick?
My argument here is that
I want a limerick.
They're paid to act.
Yeah, right.
That's their job.
Yeah.
And it would be easier as a Latino and a Jew to act as a Latino Jew if you're at least one of those things.
Yeah.
Everybody's life experience is
different.
It's just easier.
I would appreciate it if it would just be an open audition. They just automatically give it to somebody based on their reputation.
But it sounds like they didn't have an open audition, right?
Yeah. You know who we'd like for this role? We would like this person, and then they just hire that person, and they suck at it. That's not a good plan. You should hire the person who reads the best. Whether to me, it's touchy. I know why it's touchy. I know why affirmative action exists, because if you got a white person, a black person, and the white person is doing the hiring, they're going to hire the white person. And if you got a white person and a black person, and there's a black person doing the hiring, you're probably going to hire the black person. So again, we got this thing in this country where we just favor the people that are like us for some reason.
Yep.
Unless you're like me and you see people that are like me and you go, that's boring. I want to see somebody different. So I'm a contrarian.
And it doesn't help that you're the default, in society. So you see yourself all the time.
don't know if I'm the default in the society. I don't even look at myself that much.
Yeah.
Unless it's on these videos, right?
Yeah, we can tell. We can't. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway,
right.
Do we have
My
a
limerick is
just...
we can tell you never look in the mirror. In
got
a film where the
story.
casting seemed wrong, an actor not Latino played strong. Latino stars fumed as their talents went doomed. Injustice in Hollywood's song. So there you go. Hollywood being Hollywood again. Surprise.
Man,
you have
know
another
what it
story,
is,
right?
Studio executives go, give me that guy who is really good in that thing, and they don't even know his name, right? Yeah. All right, so let's do from space to seabed. We're going to talk about infrastructure. Infrastructure gets a lot of attention when Trump was president last time, and he did absolutely nothing. Joe Biden got in charge and passed an infrastructure bill, started fixing shit, and of course, Stinky the Clown canceled all his projects because he's just a terrible human being. This is from space.com. From space, Shamila Katuner, I'm going to cut this article down some. From space to seabed, critical infrastructure is becoming more vulnerable, experts warn. Weather forecasts, modern banking, international trade, and GPS all depend on a fragile web of infrastructure extending from Earth's orbit to the ocean floor, a web that is largely unseen. Experts warn increasingly at risk. At a World Economic Forum discussion in Switzerland this week, it sounds like something serious with serious people. I hope it is. Space leaders and cybersecurity experts caution that the satellites orbiting Earth and the submarine cables crisscrossing the seabed, the hidden lifelines of modern society, are growing more vulnerable even as global reliance on them accelerates. People don't realize how dependent we are, Ashbacher said during the session on January 21st. We have to catch up, he added. When asked her whether enough was being done to protect those space infrastructure. We have to do more, Ashbacher. I'm name checking him, but I don't see his name on this beginning of this article, right? It's like, we just quoting a guy we didn't even introduce. All right, cool. There's a guy named Ashbacher said that stuff. Don't know who he is, but we'll get to who he is somewhere in the article. Apparently, we've checked in about halfway through the article. That's what it seems like, but I don't think we have. More than 15,000 active satellites currently orbit Earth. We did a list a while back of how much crap's in the Earth about a year ago.
Yeah,
right?
there's so many satellites now you can't even see into space because it's actually you're looking at stars. You're not looking at stars, the satellites.
Interesting list. More than 15,000 active satellites currently orbit Earth. Many flying and constellations provide internet communication services. SpaceX Starlink network alone accounts for more than 9,500 of them. Thanks a lot, Leon. If all the proposed constellations now under regulatory review move forward, the total could swell to around 500,000. That's 500,000. That ain't going to be sustainable. Together with roughly 600 submarine cables spanning the ocean floor, these systems underpin multiple aspects of modern life, supporting everything from navigation and weather forecasting to financial transaction, emergency response, and military operations. They have two things in common, said Jessica Rosenworcel, Executive Director of MIT Media Lab and former chairwoman of the U.S. Federal Communications Commission. We don't think about them very often, and they're both extraordinarily vulnerable. Satellites face threats from tens of thousands of pieces of trackable space debris, as well as millions of untrackable fragments, space weather, and cyber attacks. And don't forget the sun. Submarine cables, meanwhile, can be damaged accidentally by marine life or deliberately targeted in geopolitical flashpoints, such as the attacks in the Red Sea that interrupted internet access in parts of Asia and Middle East last year, said Rosenworcel, another name of people we're quoting and we never introduced them. But yeah, we're just going to quote people with big long names and never introduce them to our audience. Way to go. The vulnerabilities are all shared, but our regulatory frameworks around the world are pretty dated. Cybersecurity threats are already testing some of those frameworks, according to Robert Lee, the CEO of Dragos. At least we got him identified now. A Washington, D.C. based cybersecurity company. Lee pointed to a thwarted cyber attack on Poland's energy grid last December, which Polish authorities linked to Russian intelligence services. Had it succeeded, the attack could have triggered a blackout, leaving Nearly 500,000 people without heat during the height of winter, according to news reports. The space sector, NASA, faced the average one cybersecurity incident per day during a month-long government shutdown in 2019. More recently, ESA launched a criminal investigation after a series of stuff led to the leak of hundreds of gigabytes of potentially sensitive data. The material, which appeared on dark web forums, reportedly included the agency's proprietary software, authorization credentials, and internal project documentation. So criminals have that stuff. So you got to reshuffle the deck. Oh my! The more like, isn't there? There's like a principle, like an exponential formula. Like when you change one thing, there's some butterfly effect down the line that you'll never see and never have to live with, right? And this is what's going on right now. We see a lot more than you'll ever see in the media, Lee said during that session. As more systems become interconnected both in space and Earth, he cautioned that ignoring the very real scenarios that are already taking place, we can very much find ourselves in a world where we're causing societal harm by the very innovation that we're trying to capture. Still, Lee stressed that effective defense is achievable. It's not that we are trying to come up with some net new innovations to keep ahead of the adversaries, he said. Sometimes it's very basic. In space, too, rapid growth of satellite constellation can improve redundancy and resilience, but that growth also increases congestion in orbit and raises the risk of collisions and debris incidents. One of these challenges reflects the fact that very often tech develops much faster than international laws and regulations that are supposed to govern it. Yes, technicians and technical achievements outracing our ways to control its unintended consequences. We have some questions they asked here. Let's do this one. Let's see. Reflecting his own journey. We're going to talk about ICE CEYE co-founder Pekka Loria. I don't know what. They're interviewing somebody here. Oh, okay. All right. Modzareski. Again, another person's name here. Well, anyway, there's a person asking questions, answering questions, and we're just going to answer them. I don't know who is answering these questions because they word these things confusing, and they didn't introduce me to anybody that they quoted. Question number one. As of the year 2025, how many satellites are functioning in space? 5,000, 11,000, or 15,000? And the answer is, oh no, this is like a quiz. Oh no, it's like a quiz. We're gonna have the answers. So that's the end of our story, as they confused the hell out of me by quoting people they didn't introduce to me. That's the end of the story. Again, the synopsis is space junk, bad. Overextending ourselves without even understanding the dangers, bad.
Yep.
Technology without regulation, bad. Like, imagine if everybody was on the same radio frequency. Wouldn't that be confusing to you? Hey, this is...
I would definitely say progressing forward really quickly like we have since the internet age, right? Into things, like head first, and then not realizing, oh, we can disrupt this really easily and then like take down entire governments is definitely a problem we're going to have to face, or we are facing, right? That's basically what they're saying. In my limerick, I say, in the sky, satellites gleam bright, and 500,000 cables. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why did I say that?
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say it anyways. In the sky, satellites gleam bright, and 500,000 cables take flight. With global nets spun, disruptions begun, and a new threat from the serene night. Yeah, the cables are flying.
Cables taking flight is an interesting image I conjure up in my mind.
It's a metaphor, you know, for the radio signals are like cables, you know, through the sky. And of course, we've talked about this like last year when we were having the solar flares, right? That also disrupts all of our communications. And
yeah, when the radio was invented, which is what I was getting at, was when radio was invented, that was it. You had crystal sets, but you didn't even need power for it. You just need a hand. You can still buy a crystal set, by the way, and all it is, tune the little thing to the quartz crystal frequency and you can hear through a headset. You're not going to hear it on a speaker because it has no power, but you will hear it you will hear radio broadcasts, AM radio broadcasts, live radio right? They're happening now. But unfortunately, when radio was first invented, nobody knew how to space out the frequencies and give them to this. That antenna has to point that way. It took a while, but the FCC had to step in and say, only these people can use these frequencies. Only this radio station can use that frequency at that time of day in this part of the world because you're all interfering with each other. That's the only reason that had to exist. It wasn't a government overreach. It was like, oh my God, we got to clean up this mess. That's why the FCC exists.
All the radio lines are muddled up. Yeah. Can't do anything.
Yeah, there's no radio lines. Radio doesn't have a line. It just over the air, right? Radio. This is a radio.
Let's go to our next segue into my culture story, which is going to be very short compared to the rest.
This here is a full duplex radio, right? That's what it is. It's full duplex radio with several frequencies. It has Wi-Fi frequencies. It has Bluetooth frequencies. It has cell phone frequencies. It has a lot of crap going on in this little radio. Infrared for, probably for...
whatever contact list uses, that's technically a frequency or a microchip or something.
Yeah, infrared. Yeah. It has to have infrared because I can use it as a remote control on my TV. So yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So our next segue is going to be mixed metaphor, and I'm going to be talking about this new hit by Jeff Buckley, who's been dead for 29 years, thanks to TikTok.
What did I spend?
Mixed metaphor. This is from David Morquand on Your News Culture. It's hard to pinpoint the start of the surge in popularity of one of Jeff Buckley's greatest songs, but the TikTok boost does coincide with the gradual release of the documentary It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. It's heartening when some good comes from TikTok, as opposed to the accusations of suppressing Trump criticism, more social media addiction, lobotomization, or yet another here today, gone tomorrow spasmodic trend? Spasmodic. Interesting word to use there, David. The platform has offered virality to one of Jeff Buckley's greatest songs, leading to the late singer-songwriter to score his first U.S. top 100 hit 29 years after his death. The song Lover, You Should Have Come Over, featured only in his only studio album Grace, has entered the charts at number 97, which isn't that high, but still technically a top 100 hit, following a boost on TikTok. Users have been pairing the acoustic ballad with videos that go from semi-sublime to downright ridiculous. As much as TikTok videos don't count towards chart positions, viral trends do drive listeners to actually listen to the whole song, which does count. And then there's some examples of the TikTok that we're not going to watch TikToks. While it's difficult to pinpoint when the 32-year-old track started gaining more traction on the platform, the tune being used in 300,000 videos does coincide with the gradual theatrical rollout of Amy Berg's documentary, It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. The stunning film, which premiered last year in Sundance and follows the life and legacy of the artist, is being drip-fed in select theaters in Europe this year. It comes out in France and the UK next month, and in Germany in April. Regardless of when or why, the current virality of the song means that a new generation of listeners are discovering the romantic songwriting of the most talented musicians of his generation. Wow, that's something to say. You can say that because he never got to get bad, I guess, right? He died, and then he can't get bad. He tragically died in 1997 of accidental drowning in the Mississippi River, aged 30. And if you manage to keep your peepers dry and avoid plunging into a state of emotional turmoil when hearing the lines, "It's never over, my kingdom for a kiss upon her shoulder, it's never over, all my riches for her smiles, when I've slept so soft against her, you're made of stronger stuff than the hopeless romantics in your News Culture's team." In David Morgan's new review of the album for its 30th anniversary in 2024, it was written that Grace is without a doubt one of the greatest albums of all time. Breathtakingly intimate and passionate collection of songs from a singular talent gone too soon, which is kind of what makes it a great album, because yet again, he wasn't alive to make bad decisions later. Listening to Grace is akin to a transcendental experience, one which leaves you a few words to explain what you felt by the end of the runtime. It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley, is out in select cinemas in Europe next month. Buckley's live album, Live et Cine, gets a full 4-vinyl box release set on the 13th of February, and anyone who already owns it on CD can tell you it's an absolute must-have. So there is your experience, the social media experience. Of course, this has happened many, many times before. Famously, Fleetwood Mac got some replays on the charts because there was a TikTok of a man listening to Dreams while drinking some tea, Arizona sweet tea, and riding a skateboard, and everyone was like, that's a really great song. Wow, I've never heard that song before. And if David Bowie is getting a lot of replays, especially since it's the anniversary of his death, and yeah, his songs have been coming up on my feeds like crazy as well. And as I was talking about in the before show, pop music has kind of gone in a downturn recently. So a lot of old songs are making the top 100 list and getting hits again because there's for a lot of people, no good music to listen to for 2025. But I hope you got a mixed metaphor for me.
I was looking up a video. I had my mic off. I didn't want to get the sound. Let me send this to you.
Yeah, I was thinking you haven't sent me one.
This is reference something I sent earlier in the week. All right, I'll tell you where to start. My metaphor is Jeff Buckley documentary is like the Melania documentary, but it features somebody with substance.
And people are actually going to show up on the theater. I saw images of like the opening night for this movie. Nobody's ordered a ticket. All the seats are empty.
Go to Fandango. Look up your local theater. Find the closest theater. And just for fun, just see how many tickets have sold for the ridiculously
terrible
55 million. Oh, you want to know why? Amazon's laying people off. Jeff Bezos paid $55 million for that white elephant. And a white elephant is getting something nobody wants. Like it legitimately, like something that's really big you have no storage for. $55 million is a piece of crap. The reviews are already out. Burn it. The people who put the technicians who are on the movie, that worked on the movie, do not want their names in the credits. That's how bad this movie is. The technicians, like, I know I was assistant.
All I can say is that at least they could feed their families for another few months. You know, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, the
people who worked on the film, at least they got paid, and they can feed their families and feed themselves and pay the rent, and that's the only positive thing that happened from that, I think.
Yeah, the assistant key grip who wasn't even paid doesn't want his name on this, right?
Really?
He's like,
oh,
nope.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's just funny. It's just funny that it even exists. But I did send you a video. I don't want you to start it right away.
Yes, I've got the video.
I'm going to send you started at around 3:16. I'll just tell you that. Don't start it at the beginning. Okay? Because
3:16.
you can get a lot of talk.
Let's roll our segue wheel for this day in history and get this show done and dusted.
Oh, right on.
We've dumped all the news you could possibly want to hear about today. I'm going to give you a hypothetical.
Yeah, I got 5 stories. I had to do an Epstein update.
I also had a lot of stories, so.
Finally had an Epstein update. We should have known it was going to happen on Friday, right? We should have known it. And it's a Friday where the government's about to shut down, apparently. Who knows?
Of course,
possibly.
yeah.
A lot of their temporary spending expires tomorrow. Or today even, because it's a Friday. So, let's do our This Day in History. All right, This Day in History, all the way back January 30th of the year. Oh my goodness. Looks like we're going back to BC. In 9 BC, the shrine Arapacis, our altar of peace, was dedicated to the Roman Emperor Augustus, the guy we celebrate August with. 1649, way ahead in history. Charles VI, the first. So we're talking about executing the Stuart monarchs. Well, here's the first one that got executed. King of Great Britain, Charles Charles I. He was king of Great Britain and Ireland for 24 years, it looks like.
Wow.
His authoritarian rule and quarrels with Parliament provoked the English Civil War. He was executed on this day in London. It doesn't say how. I think they probably chopped his head off. That's a normal thing they did in England, right? The guillotine hadn't been invented. Guillotine was for mass production. That was that was the first mass production. They give Henry Ford credit for creating an assembly line, right? No, it was the French Revolution. Assembly line of chopping people's heads off. Oh, disassembly line, right? Anyway, 1847, previously known Yerba Buena, the name of a plant meaning good herb. San Francisco was given its current name, named after St. Francis of Assisi, I believe, but known as the good herb. And if you're in San Francisco, you know where you can get some good herb, I guarantee it. 1911, Roy Eldridge, a jazz trumpeter known for his quick improvisation skills and unorthodox note choices, was born in Pittsburgh. So happy birthday to him. Happy birthday, 125. 1912, Barbara Tuchman was born in New York. She'd be 124. She was one of the foremost popular historians of the United States in the second half of the 20th century and two-time Pulitzer Prize winner. 1931, the silent romantic film City Lights had its world premiere and is considered by many to be Charlie Chaplin's crowning achievement in cinema. In 1931, talkies already existed, so that was basically, the end of the silent movie era, I would think. There wasn't a whole lot of silent movies after 1931. 1933, The Lone Ranger was introduced by George W. Trendle and Frank Stryker on radio Stryker. No, I'm sorry, that's from Airplane. Franz Stryker, George W. Trendle. I guess one was Tonto and the other one was, speaking of cultural appropriation, I guarantee you neither one of these guys. Frank Stryker has probably played Tonto, right? He's definitely, maybe he could have been partially American Indian, who knows. Anyway, it premiered The Lone Ranger. Premiered on Detroit, Michigan radio station WXYZ. Clever name, guys. 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg named Adolf Hitler Chancellor of Germany, and this shit went downhill from there on. Beginning chain events that led to Hitler's appointment as Führer, which he managed the presidency and the chancellorship, and that guy is just a huge piece of shit. You know what? People that think they got all the answers are full of shit. Just understand that part. Nobody has all the answers. 1941, Dick Cheney was born, died recently, held various government positions, notably a vice president. Anyway, happy birthday, Dick Cheney. Cheney developed a controversial reputation wielding immense power, got us involved in a stupid, pointless war in Iraq. Twice, actually. He got us involved in the first time. We really should just let Saddam Hussein have Kuwait. But, the old executives are telling us what to do, and they still are, folks. That's why Venezuela, for instance. 1945, one of the greatest maritime disasters in history, the German ocean liner Wilhelm Gustloff, was sunk by a Soviet submarine, resulting in deaths of an estimated 9,000 people. Way to go, you Soviet assholes. These are just people, right?
Yeah.
Jackass. Soviets were busy being jackasses like the Germans and killing civilians for no damn reason. Way to go, assholes. Oh, there was probably weapons on there. Okay. So you're killing civilians. Anyway, 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. It's a terrible day in history. Think about it. Hitler took power. Gandhi was assassinated January 30th. So remember, a crappy day in history, it looks like. Mahatma Gandhi, considered the father of India, is internationally esteemed for his doctrine of nonviolent protest to achieve political and social progress, was assassinated by Hindu extremists. We obviously know he's an extremist. That's extreme behavior. Nathuram Godse. Who cares what his fucking name is? Fuck that guy. 1972, demonstration by Roman Catholic civil rights reporters in Londonderry. Here we go again. Another shitty day in history. In Londonderry, Northern Ireland, turned violent when British paratroopers opened fire, killing 13, injuring 14 others. Later known as Bloody Sunday, as it became known, spiked support for the Irish Republican Army. And if you know U2 song, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, the Irish band U2 commemorating that bullshit. They had plenty of those to commemorate, by the way. The British were real assholes. They decided, you don't have any rights, we're going to shoot you. And that was not really that long ago, 1972. 1972, the British were shooting.
And they called the Irish the terrorists in that scenario.
Yep. Roman Catholics, you civil rights, go back to church and get molested. Damn it. 1995, flooding forced the evacuation of more than 100,000 people. You'd be glad you didn't live there then. This happened in the Netherlands. This day is a really shitty day in history.
Yeah, we're not winning any rewards.
The Netherlands flooded. Maybe you can look up what cities this was, but it was 100,000 people had to leave. Had to get the fuck out of town. Literally had to get the fuck out of Dodge or wherever he lived. 2011, California became the first state to celebrate Fred Korematsu Day, which honors a Japanese-American activist who was convicted in 1942 for violating an exclusionary requirement to relocate. He said, fuck you, you're only relocating me based on my race. I have done nothing wrong. And again, we keep pretending we have rights. His subsequent legal appeals were denied, which, of course, why would you have rights? Oh, you think this is America? United States? Oh, wait, it is. We have a constitution that says you have rights. Not you. Not you. We decide you don't have any rights. You specifically have no rights, mister. Why? We'll make up a reason. His subsequent legal appeals were denied, though the ruling was eventually overturned in 2018. Also, he finally got justice. How many years later? 18. What's 18 plus 58? 76 years later, he got justice. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What justice? Was he even alive anymore? Probably not. 1969, another sad day in history, and depending on how you look at it, Beatles performed for the last time on a rooftop in London on this day in 1969. The Beatles, John Lennon, John, Paul, George, and Ringo performed together for the last time. The 42-minute set, which took place in rooftop of Apple Corps headquarters in London, ended after neighbors filed noise complaints. Screw them guys, they still be playing to this day if it wasn't for those neighbors. Nosy mother. Leading the police to show up. Footage from the session appeared in the documentary Let It Be and recently released by Disney, who tried to screw you on the deal. The one that's, instead of called Let It Be, it's called, what's it called? It's called, help me out here, Get Back. It's called Get Back. Named after another song in that concert. Our feature biography is FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whose birthday it is today, January 30th, 1882. If Franklin Delano Roosevelt had lived, he would be 144 years old.
That's how old I'll be. That's how far I'm going to live.
Yep, and he died 12th, 1945 at the age of 63. My current age, right? He was not very old when he died, and he served 3 full terms and partially part of 4. They didn't have a term. I'm
sure his life was more stressful because he was doing that.
But yeah, again, it was the same thing Zelensky's doing now. You don't change leaders in the middle of a war. That seems kind of foolish, right? Yeah. Let's take this in a whole nother direction, and all your leaders just resign. Your generals resign, everybody quits. Okay. Yeah. Now what?
Also, you could definitely, fuck up an election and then get somebody you want in there, to basically surrender, right?
And while I have nothing against Harry Truman, his vice president should have been Henry Wallace. His first vice president is Henry Wallace. Henry Wallace we would have socialized medicine by now if Henry Wallace was president. He was very, very progressive. He was way more progressive than FDR. But his party decided he's too progressive. We want somebody else. And they put Harry Truman in there. Actually, they put somebody else first. They got rid of, we can't have him. Yeah, back in the day, they didn't rubber stamp the vice president. They just we don't like that guy, right? Other birthdays today: Gene Hackman, who died tragically last year. He was born in 1930. Vanessa Redgrave, born in 1937. Dick Cheney, we did. Abdullah, King of Jordan, born in 1962. And Christian Bale's birthday, the Welsh actor, known for yelling at people for
Welsh.
I did not. Played Batman. Also played Bob Dylan. Him and
also
Heath Ledger
played American Psycho.
Yeah. The last two movies Heath Ledger did were the movie where he played Bob Dylan and the Batman movie, right? And Christian Bale's in both of those too. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, technically, Heath Ledger's last film was actually a different movie that he didn't finish. They had a replacement with Johnny Depp and another actor in the middle of the film.
Uh-huh.
The Miraculous World of also, Dr. Paraphanopoulos or something like that.
And if anybody wants to know why FDR got to serve 3 terms and nobody does get to serve 3 terms anymore, it's because the Republicans got control of Congress in 1948, I think it was, and they passed a law, or 1948 and 1950, and they passed an amendment to the Constitution. They got full control of Congress, and they amended the Constitution. That's what they did. And the Democrats went along with it. They said, yeah, we don't want any more 4-term presidents. And the Democrats went along with it. They passed it. Harry Truman could have served as many terms as he wanted to run for, but he decided not to. But of course, he would have lost to Eisenhower. I think Eisenhower is just too popular. Okay, so let's get to the National Day calendar. It's National Big Wig Day. I don't have any big wigs, but the picture has a dog wearing a pink long hair wig. I'm not sure if that's what it's about. It could be. It's National Escape Day, and it has a picture of a bathtub, some kind of warm beverage in a cup, perhaps tea or hot coffee, or maybe some, what's that, hallucinogenic, of some sort, Ishawashka, or what that shit's called. Maybe that's a good drink. Well, if you want to escape, you need a hallucinogenic, don't you? You want to escape into the depth of the outer reaches of your mind? I would do that. National Fun at Work Day. You can't have fun at work and escape. You have to wait. So have fun at work, and when you get home, get yourself in a tub, light up a bunch of candles, because I see at least 12 candles in this picture. And
at least 12.
Do not put the radio or your phone anywhere near the bathtub. All right. And get in there. In fact, just play some music on your surround sound, or play it in the whatever. Don't do nothing, actually. Just lay there, comatose. And it's
That's
National
what I'm asking you guys to do after this Friday news dump. Just don't do fucking anything over the weekend, okay? Don't look at the news for sure.
Have fun at work, definitely. Make paper airplanes. Put people's desk drawers upside down. There's all kinds of great shit you can do to people at work. Remove the legs on their, flatten all their tires. That's fun. On a Friday, just let all the air out of the tires. Don't slash them. Yeah, people have fun with that stuff. That's great. That's a great prank on a Friday. Get off work and all your tires are flat. Oh man, that would make my day. Anyway, it's National Croissant Day. So that's all those things for today. There are a lot of limericks and stuff for mispronunciation, technical glitches we can blame on all the too much stuff in the air. I'm going to keep blaming that, because that's actually, it's solving a problem that doesn't exist yet. We're overusing the airspace we have. So that's everything for January 30th, a Friday news dump, and it really was a dump today, on January 30th, 2026, on Before Croissant. Croissant. I gotta say it right, man.
Delicious. A nice fluffy croissant. Okay, I did look up what you were asking about the flood that happened in 1995. It says here that in 1995, where was I? I just read it. Now I lost it. Oh, right here it is. Exactly. This was published in January of last year. A lot of meltwater from the Alps combined with prolonged heavy rainfall in the Ardennes, which is the forest in Brussels and in Belgium, from the Alps combined with northern France and parts of Germany. Days later, the surge of water made its way towards Betuwe, Bomerlevoort, and the land van de Maas and the Wall. So there's three rivers that go through the Netherlands, and two of them are moss in the wall. Those rivers overflooded the basically German bordering part of the Netherlands. And those are the
nowhere close to you.
Yeah. Those are the lower lands. There's parts of South Limburg, which is that part of the Netherlands that kind of is almost encapsulated by Belgium and Germany. That was flooded. And that actually happened during... I'm pretty sure something like that also happened in 2021 or 22. The Moss, there was a lot of rain in Germany and it overflowed, and a lot of Limburg got flooded. So it just happens.
All right, let's have a... What did you spend?
The hypothetical I have for you, I guess, is if Germany actually invested in their water infrastructure, the Netherlands wouldn't have to worry about getting flooded by their water. Because to this day, I think their largest infrastructure, a lot of taxes go to water management. Because at least 30% of the country is underwater and can get flooded. But unfortunately, this was a flood caused by the other countries just letting the water just rush over, I guess, and just flooded the Netherlands.
And then Dutch universities got to be churning out the hydraulic engineers by the thousands.
There's hydraulic. There's engineers. I think it's from Delft. I think Delft is like such a world-renowned engineering school. And they go all over the world to teach people how to deal with water. They went to Japan.
Hey, Germany, good idea.
Teaching people to deal with water. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's my hypothetical, I guess. And for our international, there's nothing to celebrate except on Sunday. Yes. Sunday is the beginning of World Interfaith Harmony Week. So from the 1st of February to the 7th of February, celebrate other people practicing religions and their fake people and their multiple gods and their singular God, and having faith and spirituality, and probably not killing each other over it. Thank you. Let's not kill each other because you think Jesus wasn't a prophet, or you think Tom deserves to go to heaven. I don't care.
Meat on a Friday.
What you want. It's a personal freedom for yourself. You don't need to force everyone in the fucking world to believe in it. So that's my unite for peace. Stop fighting each other for religion. Thank you. Goodbye. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands and Roger from the East Coast of the U.S. as we finish off another week, the 5th week of the year already, and it's going quickly or slowly. I don't know. We're into February now, so we will see you in February on Mucking Fun Days and tell you all the news you might have missed over the weekend, because you're not supposed to be looking at the news over the weekend. You promised me that. Please subscribe to the Before Coffee podcast channel on YouTube. We need to get more subscribers on there so YouTube knows that people love watching our show and enjoy it. And of course, thank you everyone who's already following on Twitch, subscribed on YouTube, turn those notifications on so you know when we go live and post a video. And thank you everyone who supports the show on Patreon. Here it's our Mike Grouch moment.
Groucho.
I know his name's not Mike.
Mike Groucho. The Lydia song I was referencing the other day. You gotta hear it.
All right, let's just get some comedy here on the weekend, for the weekend.
Oh Lydia, say have you met Lydia? Lydia the tattooed lady. She has eyes that men adore so, and a torso even more so. Lydia, oh Lydia, that encyclopedia. Oh Lydia.
Oh, great rhyme there.
On her back is the Battle of Waterloo.
Really?
That's
where Napoleon went to when he lost.
And proudly above waves the red, white, and blue. You can line
the wreck at Hesperus was a famous shipwreck.
Not the la la la. And they say that millennials invented the la 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 thing.
When a robe is unfurled, she will show you the world. If you step up and tell her where.
Kankakee is in Illinois.
You can see Kankakee or Paris or Washington crossing the Delaware.
This is actually what he did in the movie. This is the actual recreation of the movie.
Wow, it's cool. You still remembers it, yeah.
Oh Lydia, say, have you met Lydia? Oh Lydia, the tattooed lady.
I love how he says tattoo.
Stop relaxing. Off the hill comes Andrew Jackson. Lydia,
Oh no, not Andrew Jackson.
An encyclopedia. Oh Lydia, the champ of them all. For to bet she will do a mazurka in jazz with a view of Niagara that nobody has. And on a clear day you can see Alcatraz. You can learn a lot from Lydia.
I don't even know what he's talking about anymore. I need to recontextualize his in a window.
Come
Yeah.
along and see Buffalo Bill with his lasso. Just a little classic by Mendel Picasso. Here's
Mendel
Captain
Picasso.
Exploring the Amazon. Here's Godiva, but with
Godiva with her pajamas on. Rhyming Amazon with pajamas on is awesome.
Oh Lydia, say, have you met Lydia? Oh Lydia, the champ of them all.
The champ.
She once swept an admiral clear off his feet. The ships on her hips made his heart skip a beat. And
The ships on her hips.
Boys in command of the fleet, for he went and married Lydia. I said Lydia. He said Lydia. I said Lydia.
According to Genius Annotations, he added her getting married to help get the song past studios and censors by saying she got married at the end. So that's why that part's added in there. That's a fun little fact.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's great. It's a great song. It's one of your first novelty songs that appears in the movie. I think it's an Animal Crackers. Animal Crackers, again, which was just released as... Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. And follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old